time of the year, because I think, who knows, like, I don't know if
yeah, some things will maybe as soon as
some
the
things
winter.
might be happening,
yeah.
exactly. Some in December, some things will happen in the spring, and then obviously the movie's going to come out in summer. So you.
So we've recently found out the Superman movie will restart the DCEU and basically transform it into the DCU after Creature Commandos. Now, personally, I can't say much about Creature Commandos because I may or may not have signed an NDA, or I may not have already seen it. But James Gunn basically says the DCEU starts with Creature Commandos. It will make sense once you watch it. He said a lot of stuff recently. He's contradicted himself again. I just wish James Gunn would actually say what he means and not talking massive riddles. So, yo, what is good, YouTube? Warstu here with a video on the future of the DC universe. Let's just call it that. If you are new around and subscribe to never miss any of the Marvel, DC, Kaiju, MonsteVerse, pop culture-based content that we cover on a daily basis, could subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know down below how freaking excited are you to see the new DC Superman. Also, check us out on Instagram at Warstu to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice. And check us out on Twitter, WarstuG. Right, let's get into it. So, James Gunn has recently contradicted himself multiple times, which I find shocking. Okay, so James Gunn's lied. Now, I know I'm going to get some hate saying, you're just a Snyder fanboy. No, I'm literally a fan of DC, Marvel, Kaiju, anime, literally a lot of things. But just be transparent. So James Gunn initially said Peacemaker Season 1 wasn't canon to the new DCU. Now, this is why I'm calling it the DCEU. It's basically just the DCEU. Because now he's come out and said in a recent interview, James Gunn says all of Peacemaker Season 1 is canon, except for the post-credit ending Justice League scene that he put in there. No one asked him to put it in there. He literally did that scene himself. And he kind of said it in a very pedantic kind of way. When he said it, it's like, bro, you literally did that scene. No one told you. You made that scene. So he made a big deal saying, except for the Justice League part, and we're going to explain that. So my gripe with the whole James Gunn running the studio is, you're acting like a director, lad. Start acting like a studio head, right? Because now Peacemaker Season 1 is canon. This means the Suicide Squad movie is canon. This means the David Ayer Suicide Squad movie is canon, which means it's not a reboot at all. This is not a reboot. It's just a restart, right? You can't convince me otherwise. Because if Peacemaker is canon, that makes his Suicide Squad movie canon with Weasel, etc., which makes the David Ayer cut. Well, we haven't seen the David Ayer cut, which means that the movie they released, you know, the Suicide Squad movie that actually made a lot of money is canon. So basically, you're just changing a bunch of characters that you didn't have control over. Now, I know how this is going to come across, but he's just not being transparent. He's basically just lied again. He's not acting like a studio head. So, interesting. So there was an announcement that he was going to be at CCXP. Him and Pete Safran were going to be there, essentially. And everyone assumed we were going to get the Superman trailer then. Realistically, it doesn't matter when the Superman trailer is coming. But you've got to think, James Gunn is a studio head. He's not a director, although he keeps trying to direct stuff. He's a studio head. Needs to start acting like a businessman, not like a director. So he, for scheduling reasons, can't make it to CCXP. Neither can Pete Safran. This looks very bad on the whole of the new DC studio. Thank God we've got the Batman and the Penguin, which has nothing to do with the DCEU. Well, the DCEU, realistically. What the going on with this studio? So, Creature Commandos, press screeners, people have already seen it, wink, 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 right? Basically done with, right? There's been another Superman screening in LA, and it was received very well, right? So they've had multiple screenings for the Superman. Does not come out till July. How is James Gunn that busy if he cannot get out to Brazil? Kevin Feige was at San Diego Comic-Con. He was at D23 Brazil recently. Your boy Kevin Feige's getting everywhere, and he's got a lot more on his hands than James Gunn has. I just think it's very impractical for him to basically act like a director still. He needs to start acting like a studio head. Now, I get it. He's going to say, obviously, he won't actually say because He never actually really says what he means. Due to scheduling conflictions, you're not currently filming anything. Probably you could be writing something secretly, because apparently, from what you've said, you literally wrote Creature Commandos before it was greenlit by yourself. There's been a lot of weird things come out recently when it comes to the way that he talks. James Gunn on when we can expect the Superman trailer. It won't be long to be released. It
won't be too long.
Too long? Okay.
Not too long.
That's awesome.
He's literally already said it's on his hard drive. He's basically said it's done. And I'm pretty sure the leak for the trailer was bang on. Now, if the leak for the trailer has at least 60% truthfulness to it, we already know this, because based on the McFarlane toys, where it says the baby Kaiju, it says UltraMan. I tell you what, James Gunn's going to get a lot more questions if this trailer turns out to be exactly what the leaked description said. And that leaked description came out a few months ago now. It's just odd to me that him and Pete Safran, due to scheduling conflicts, can't make it out to CCXP. Interesting. Now, I know David Korsnick said the marketing is going to start in December, but are you really going to have the Superman cast, Rachel Brosnahan, David Korsnick, etc., doing a Superman panel without the director, I mean the studio head, being there? I mean, realistically, they don't need to be there. But they said they were going to be there, and now they're not going to be there. I do find it very interesting. Are they randomly going to drop it after Creature Commandos? Because Creature Commando restarts the DCEU, aka the DCU. It's basically DCU. It's an extended universe, so it's basically DCU. But James Gunn said something very strange to me in a recent Collider interview. I want the new Superman movie to bang, but this is not good. This is not good what he said. James Gunn says he hasn't picked which DC studio project he'd direct after Superman. He's a studio head. Stop trying to direct things. I've got like 4 different things that I could do. I'm going to kind of jump back and forth between those things. I'm going to see which one really speaks to me, and that's the one I'm going to do. Really? You've already done Superman. You've already basically done most of Creature Commandos, although you're trying to make it out that you haven't. But that's not the concerning thing to me. It's what he's actually said about the success of a movie and a franchise. It just comes across very strange to me that a studio head would actually say this. Because at the end of the day, yes, DC Studios is acting like an independent studio, but it's still funded by Warner Bros. Discovery that is in a lot of debt. So they need to start making money back. But for a studio head to say this, now I get it. The Superman movie doesn't need to bang $1 billion, but it needs to be pretty strong based on the budget. If the budget is $300 million, it needs to make around $600 to $700 million at least turnover. But it's very concerning what he's actually said, and it really makes me concerned about the future of DC if this is what he said, but it's literally word for word what James Gunn actually came out and said. I'm a great believer that if we tell a good, authentic stories, if a movie does well or not, right? If a movie does well or not, if you keep going with that same philosophy, that you're going to build a universe that people are going to love and want to be a part of for a long time. I get it. The first few movies don't have to be massive success, but they kind of do, because DC Studios, yes, it's acting like an independent studio, but it's funded by Warner Bros. Discovery. Like, David Zaslav is James Gunn's boss. Sure, he's not telling him what to do. He's not mandating stuff, but he is still his boss. So they still have to be financially successful. They still have to make money. There's still a risk that Warner Bros. Discovery could be sold. And if that is the case, DC Studios would have a new boss depending on who would buy Warner Bros. Discovery. So for the boss to say if a movie does well or not, that doesn't really matter. As long as you keep telling good stories, people will come. Yeah, but it's a business. It's not a charity. You can't tax write it off. You need to start making money. So this has really got me concerned. Does well or not, very concerning. Yeah, sure. You have to build a universe that people love, but you're only going to know if they love it if people are turning out to watch it. This is why the marketing, not necessary for randos, because as I say, people don't care for that. They really don't. I mean, I can't really say much about that show for reasons, but the Superman marketing, they need a Super Bowl trailer. That movie needs to make a profit at least. It's very important. But for the head of a studio to come out and say that, it's very telling. Yes, he does have a good point Authentic stories would be cool, but the focus should be on making a profit. And if you make a good story, sure, you will. But the way he talks is very concerning because he never says what he actually means. Could we be getting a Superman trailer in December? A lot of the credible scoopers, like Cryptic HD, are claiming we are getting in December. Are they randomly going to drop it online one day when everyone's sleeping? Probably. It would make more sense to drop it in February at the Super Bowl. Why? Because it doesn't come out till the summer. We know it's already going to have massive competition in July with the Fantastic Four movie, with the Jurassic Park movie, and Superman all dropping the same month. It's already a stacked month. Even though, yes, sure, there is a week between most of them, it's still going to be very hard for them. It's a new product. Do people believe in the product? Not really. Why? You look at the Flash numbers, it flopped. Shazam 2, flop. Joker 2, flop. Yeah, I guess you could say it's got nothing to do with them, but Pete Safran was the producer on Shazam 2. They were all on board. Sure, he gave notes. Sure, they didn't listen, but that's still part of the same brand. You can rebrand it as a DC universe, a DC studio. It's still DC. It's still the exact same thing. You just rebranded a product that wasn't working, but it was working until a certain point. So realistically, people ain't gonna know there's a rebrand just because you've recasted Superman. Spider-Man's being recasted no end of times. So is Batman. Most people don't even know there's a rebrand. So the marketing strategy is gonna have to be absolutely Gucci. So this is your update for all the latest and greatest Superman DC news. Not sure if I actually post this video. If I do, cool. So like always, guys, check us out in another video very soon. Catch ya later.